Welcome back to the Extra Point podcast, a podcast from Crosspoint Baptist Church. Today, good episode for you. It's me and Jim. Um, so before we get into anything, Jim, how are you doing? Maybe a high, a low, anything to look forward to, anything like that?
Yeah, well, so we had another grandchild, so that's cool. Micah
Mm-hmm.
and Malia had their first little girl, Annie, a
Mm.
few weeks ago, and so she's doing great
Yeah,
and cute as can be.
that's
So that's
awesome.
that's a high. We got to go see her for a couple days, and then
Awesome.
yeah, and then Kelsey's close with her baby too, so
Right.
it's kind of baby season for us.
Uh-huh.
Those are good
Yeah.
things to celebrate.
Oh yeah,
How about
definitely.
you? Yeah,
I mean, the
what do you have?
last couple weeks have been rough. Specifically for Jenna, with both her grandma and her grandpa passing away.
Yeah,
Um, which, like I'm sad obviously too, but they're not my grandparents.
right,
I'm more exhausted from everything. Plus Jenna is sad and like her family's sad and exhausted, so like
right,
who
yeah.
what am I to complain? But yeah, that's just been a lot. There's just a lot going on, a lot of early mornings or late nights with getting up to go see them and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's kind of been the last couple weeks, and that's uh thankfully over. I say thankfully not just for me, Jenna, and Jenna's family, but like Jenna's grandparents are now, they're both believers, they're
Right.
both at peace, they're both with Jesus. They're doing a lot better than we are now.
That's for sure. Yeah.
It's funny how when someone's dying, they go from being the worst possible they could be to, if they're a Christian, you the best possible that you
Right.
could be.
Yeah.
So, they're planning all the funerals and whatnot. Well, those will be at the end of September and beginning of October, and so, um, but then, we're going on vacation in like 4 days, 3 days, something like that, and I am so excited. So, we're going to California, and we'll go to Disneyland. We'll go to Universal Studios. We'll go just around the town and whatnot. So, um, yeah, I'm excited. We're both
Oh,
very excited.
that's good. It's a good time. I mean, vacation's always good, but especially with everything going on, to be able to get away and
Mm-hmm.
get your mind off of some things and
Yeah,
have some fun together.
yeah, should be awesome. Very excited. This past Sunday, we got back into our series in Matthew after a break. We have a few topics to talk about, but before we do, kind of a series of rapid fire questions. Your sermon title is, and like your transforming truth, like we talked about, is Jesus is the greatest. So I thought we'll have a series of questions that we have to answer of the greatest of whatever thing, um, off the top of your head, whatever you think's the best, and obviously this is not an objective fact. This is
Yeah.
just our
Right.
opinion.
Our opinion. Sure.
Except for Jesus, we would say he is the greatest. So we'll just go through these and we'll say what we think the greatest whatever is. So, what's the greatest meal?
One time I had beef Wellington, and I'd
Oof.
have to say nothing beats that I've ever eaten.
I've had Wagyu prime,
Hmm.
like not prime, Wagyu ribeye, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
the greatest thing I've ever
Huh.
eaten. Vacation destination.
Uh, our favorite trip that we've ever gone to is Hawaii. We've
Hmm.
gone there twice, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine would be probably California or any Disney thing is like my favorite.
Yeah.
Or Hawaii. Theologian.
Well, I like C.S. Lewis a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's kind of a theologian. I think J.I. Packer is one of my favorites too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd go C.S. Lewis. I think that he's like my favorite. Plus, he's also one of the theologians that is loved amongst all sects of
Yeah, that's
Christianity.
true. Yeah.
Movie.
Um, yeah, the movie I like the most in a long time, at least, last 10 years or so, is a movie that wasn't super popular called Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah,
movie.
it's a great. I mean, it's got a great Christian theme, and
Yeah,
it's just it was. I was just you know, spellbound the whole movie. So
yeah,
I'd put that number one.
really good. I'm saying my favorite. Stand by Me, my favorite. It's
Yeah.
the best TV show.
I like all the Law and Order shows.
Oh,
So
good.
just any of them. Pick one.
Pick one.
Any Law and Order.
SVU. Yeah, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I'm going with Psych. I've said that before. Date night.
So Sonny and I love to eat, so just going to, a couple of our favorite places when we have a little more money is we like to go to the Cove, which is really
Mm,
nice on the waterfront, and
yeah.
then also Hudson's, which is the restaurant at the Heathman Lodge.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are both
Those are
really
good.
nice. Yeah.
I've been to the Cove. I don't think I've been to Hudson's. Um, I'd say usually it's like activity plus food. So go eat food, then go to activity or vice versa, like mini golf and food or movie and
Mm-hmm.
food or
Yeah.
bowling. I don't know. What's the best state?
Mm, it's hard. We have one of the prettiest
It's
states,
a
but
good
I
state.
wouldn't call it the best
Yeah,
for other
there's a lot of
reasons.
factors.
Yeah. Um, Man, that's hard. We do love the Southwest, so I'd go just Arizona.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what I would say. I like Texas a lot. I'd probably go Texas. I love Texas. Visiting there's so fun. Um, I love the whole vibe around Texas, but or I don't even Hawaii because it's
Yeah,
Hawaii.
yeah,
But fictional character, made up, make believe.
yeah. I know what fictional means, but I'm not sure I know.
No, I know. I'm just talking to
I'm just
myself.
kidding.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, thanks for helping me, because I'm just sitting here with a blank stare on my face. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure. What would you say?
My favorite fictional character is oh goodness, it's probably George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah, okay,
He's
that's a
probably my
good one.
favorite. Or
Yeah,
like Donald Duck. I love Donald Duck.
right.
Like that's like two very different characters, but
Yeah, that's
like
true.
yeah, it's I put it in there just because it's hard to think of on the spot. I was talking to my friend about it last night. That's why
Yeah,
I thought of it. But um, I mean, there's so many. It's like there's a lot
right.
of movies, but you can think of a movie but it's much harder to think of a character. Car. What's the best car?
Yeah, I mean, we've always just had practical cars, so I'm sure there's some great luxury
Oh yeah,
vehicles out there that
yeah.
we could pick. I just wouldn't know which one to pick. You know, I think that back in the old days, right, a Chevy Corvette was pretty cool. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's great. F-150 is I think is the best.
Hmm.
Game could be any game. Could be a sporting game, a
Yeah,
board game, a video game.
yeah. I'm frustrated with the Mariners now, but I still love baseball.
Yeah,
All the sports and games. That'd be my favorite.
yeah.
So.
I'm going basketball there.
Hmm.
Thing to drink.
Um, Kind of a big peach iced tea lover in the
Oh, that's
summertime.
so good.
Yeah.
Chocolate milk's mine.
Oh.
Love chocolate milk. We'll switch this to worship song.
Oh, okay.
What's the best worship song?
Um, yeah, I like Another in the Fire is one of my
That's
favorites for
good.
sure.
I'd go In Christ Alone.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We had it sung at our wedding when we did communion, which was cool.
Yeah.
Um, athlete. Who's the best athlete? Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know how to think about it.
That's funny. In basketball, everyone compares LeBron and Michael Jordan,
That's the
but
next one is basketball
oh, it is
player.
basketball. Okay, so I'll just jump down to that one and say, but I heard a really compelling case on a history podcast of all things. And this guy made a great case for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being the
Oh,
best basketball
interesting.
player ever.
Interesting.
But if I had to go for just another athlete, I'd say Jim Brown. Because he
Okay.
was a great running back and also a track and field star
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'd probably say Michael Phelps or it's probably a hot take like Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
Like they're just
yeah, you can't go wrong there.
undisputedly the
Yeah,
best at what they did. I don't know.
right. Yeah.
Basketball player, I'd say Jordan.
Hmm.
Um, and you'd say Kareem?
Well, I just thought the case that that guy made was really good. Like how many championships he's won. How when he went to the Milwaukee Bucks first, and they were in
Right.
last place, and then they just started winning every year.
Right. He's
It's like,
dominant.
well, it took Jordan like 5 years to get the Bulls to win a playoff game, and then he kind of took over, and then
Mm-hmm.
LeBron has won a lot, but he's also like moved around to different teams
Yeah, that's
with
fair.
his buddies. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
Football player, would you say Jim Brown?
yeah. I mean, of all time for sure. Yeah.
People are gonna hate me for this one. Sorry, Seattle fans. I'm saying Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Brady would be, in my mind, right up there.
Yeah, people hate him, but he's like was awesome.
Yeah,
And it's easier to say that now because I didn't like him when he was playing either.
yeah,
But what is the best sports game, like specific game or event?
yeah. I mean, if Super Bowl is always great, right?
Yeah,
So I'd go with that.
yeah, I'd go Final Four. That's my favorite
Hmm.
book, not in the Bible, because the Bible or not the Bible,
Oh, not the
not
Bible.
the Bible.
Um, yeah, it's kind of a nerdy one, but brother Lawrence wrote a book a long time ago for pastors. And I forget the name of it, but that
Mm,
would be the. And then Thomas Kempis, another nerdy book. He wrote on the Imitation of Christ, which is a
yeah,
great book. Yeah.
yeah. I'm going. I'll go back to C.S. Lewis. I'll say Mere Christianity.
Hmm.
And what's the best invention? I have I have like the answer for
Oh, do
this.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm influenced by the podcast I listen to. This guy, last week, this is podcast called This Day in History, and
Oh,
he
I have some
picks,
friends that listen to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So he picked something that happened, on a certain day in history, and it's only been about 50 years ago that the first computer was invented,
Okay.
and then he kind of went through the transformation of like in speed and
Mm-hmm.
capabilities and the technology, and so it'd have to be, computing has completely changed our life, and well, not in your lifetime, but in my lifetime, like I didn't even have a computer before before in college I didn't have a computer,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. I've had a
yeah,
computer as long as I can remember.
I know.
I remember having a computer. I remember going downstairs to my dad's office. My dad had his work computer, and then we had a family computer that we could go
Mm,
on and play
hmm.
games on. Yeah, what a yeah. I've never not known computers. That's a good. I'd argue that's up there too. But this was invented. I just looked it up in 1902, which is a lot older than I thought. But it probably didn't get as good until like I don't know later. But air conditioning,
Oh
I
yeah,
think, is the best invention ever,
yeah.
because I when people ask the question like, oh, if you could live at any other time period, when would you live? I wouldn't pick any because no air conditioning.
Yeah, right.
I'm not like I get too sweaty and warm and yeah.
Yeah, so that's good for this week, right? Because so today's gonna be 80, and then
Tomorrow's like 100, right?
yeah, like the next 4 days are in
Yeah.
the low, like high 90s, 101
Yeah.
one
What
day.
happened? We were going so strong. Yeah. 93 tomorrow, 100, then 97. Then it cools down.
Yeah.
How hot is it gonna be while I'm in California? Please be hot. Where is it? I hate how they updated there.
Oh, the weather app.
Yes,
Yeah.
I like it. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, we won't be there Friday. 98, 95, 90, 93, 89, 86. Perfect.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Sweet. Um, all right. So here's some few questions that kind of came out of the passage that we were in on Sunday. Um, so in the passage, it says that Jesus reclined at the table in the house. Behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and were reclining with Jesus and his disciples. Should we hang out with people that are not committed to following Jesus, essentially that aren't Christians? And if so, to what capacity?
Yeah, so if we want to be like Jesus, we should, right? That's
Right.
that's exactly what he's doing here. Um, I mean, in this passage, there are tax collectors and sinners, and other places are prostitutes. There's
Mm-hmm.
Gentiles.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people that a good Christian today, for the most part, would not associate with. So, absolutely, and I think that's part of the problem why we have such low evangelistic effectiveness,
Mm-hmm.
is because we don't, like, for the most part, we'll have people over to our home and there'll be other Christians, or we'll go out after church with other Christians, or
Mm-hmm.
and I get it because we share the same values, the same relationship, um, and we should fellowship with other believers, but
Mm-hmm.
we definitely need to think about what this looks like, in our
Yeah.
life, and how to do that better.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think it's harder being a pastor that like it's harder to
I,
ha-
I yeah, I think it's harder. I've said this to people many times that the people in the church they have natural relationships with non-Christians at their job,
Mhm.
specifically, and my job, everyone's Christian here.
Yeah.
That's like a requirement, so, for
Right.
being on staff. And so it is harder, and so we try to get to know our neighbors. We try
Mm-hmm.
to, connect with people that we see casually that
Mm-hmm.
are, old for, like I did a lot of coaching when my kids were,
Right.
up through middle school, and so from 5 to, 12 or 13,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a lot of relationships with people
Right.
like that, but also that's not happening now, and so I'm not in touch with them very often.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into one guy last summer, and hadn't seen him for years, and he helped me. We coach baseball for
Mm.
Micah and Jared, and we just had so much to talk about, and I
Right.
thought, man, I just wish there was a natural way to
To see.
see him. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I always the arguments. I think it's a bad argument because, like you said, the answer is like if you want to be like Jesus, you kind of got to do it. It's like, well, you'll become like them because who you hang out with is who you become, and yeah, to a certain extent, but at the same time, like you have the Holy Spirit in you, which should also change some things. Um, and it's like you, um, your presence in that person's life will be the most likely be the only Jesus or Bible
yeah.
or whatever light in their world that they'll ever see. So,
And it is a balance, right? Because Michael and I were just talking about this yesterday. A former pastor who had a lot of influence in his life moved to Portland to plant a church, and Michael came with him. And that guy, in trying to reach, and man, it's just so hard to reach people in Portland. But trying
that's
to
true.
reach the typical Portland person actually has gone away from Christ and away from the gospel, and is out of the ministry, and is divorced, and doesn't believe in Jesus anymore. It's
Right.
like, wow, there's an extreme example, but one that happens all the time, of just getting
Mhm.
so, um, not just not just loving people that are lost, but becoming like them and participating in their
Yeah.
stuff. So there's a balance there, but most Christians, by and large, we lean way far on the hang out with other Christians side
Yeah.
than let's get around some non-Christian
Yeah. I
people.
heard someone say you have to hang between both worlds. You have to like live in both.
Right. So you
Um
play basketball too, right? So you probably have some guys that are not believers.
uh
Or are they all
I,
Christians? They're all Christians.
there's probably a couple guys that aren't Christians, but most of them are
Yeah,
Christians.
yeah.
I'll go
So
to
so even playing basketball, right? Like I thought, basketball is a great way to
Mhm.
share. When I was younger and played a lot more, I just go to open gyms and stuff,
Yeah.
and there'd be a lot
I'm
of,
getting a gym membership, so that could be an opportunity.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I got hurt on basketball on Sunday. I was mad.
Oh yeah.
Someone who is kind of reckless when he plays ran into me
Oh,
and he like did something to my muscle on my lower part of my leg near my knee, and it like shot down my whole leg, and
oh,
I
wow.
could barely walk. I'm fine now, I think, but I was like, I swear if I have to like
Oh,
if I can't go on my vacation, yeah, I was bad, but yeah.
oh man.
Uh, so, uh, Jesus describes himself as the bridegroom. Therefore, the church, us, we're the bride. What do you think the beauty is of this illustration, and what is the role as married couples to show this? Like, how do we do this?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful illustration I shared with the church Sunday, that I think that what most of us need to know is that we are more dearly loved than we think,
Mm-hmm.
because we're hard on ourselves, and we tend to just assume that God's hard on us too.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus does call us as Christians the bride of Christ, and there's several passages that talk about that, and so it's a beautiful picture of how He loves us, how He forgives us, how He
Mm-hmm.
cherishes us, how He serves us, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's a beautiful, beautiful picture. And of course, in our marriages, I also said this to the church, that um, so a lot of times, I didn't say this part, but I said part of this, but not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when I'm doing premarital counseling, um, there'll be a problem over the idea of a wife submitting to her
Right.
husband.
Uh-huh.
That leads to some conversation.
Right.
Um,
Of
but I
course.
always tell couples all the time that's challenging, but it's even harder to love your wife like Jesus loves the church.
Yeah.
And I said to the church, this is something I'm constantly working on. Like, how can I love Sonia better? Because I love her a lot, and I feel that, and I try to, demonstrate that in things the ways that I treat her and stuff. But it's nowhere near the way Christ loves the church. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's something for us men to really strive for, and kind of get our eyes off ourselves and onto our spouses and
Mm-hmm.
how to treat her like Jesus would.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think um I love like at weddings. Someone told me to look for this. It wasn't like my own original idea, but I was at a wedding on Saturday, so I got to see this. Then obviously my brother's wedding was this summer, but he go my pastor friend was like, look at the groom during this.
Yeah,
Like when the bride walks down the aisle, don't look at her. She looks pretty,
right.
obviously, like,
Yeah,
but look at the groom. Because the way the groom looks at the bride, like it's literally the happiest, probably,
yeah,
that a groom will ever like be with his bride. Like it's the culmination of everything, and it's like a fairy tale, and it's perfect. And so the look, the love that the groom has on his face for his bride, it's like, look at that, because then you take that picture and then you infinitely multiply it, and
right.
that's like Jesus looking at us, which not only is it like weddings are like this I have a friend who says they're jumpstart for your own marriage.
Mm.
You're like in the slums with your
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and then you go to a wedding, you're like, oh, I love you so much. But it's
Mm-hmm.
a jumpstart for like you, a reminder of like the love that Jesus has.
Yeah.
So I think that um, it's just, yeah, like you said, it's a beautiful illustration. And next time you're at a wedding, look at the groom. It's like the best part. It's my favorite part of every wedding now.
So Saturday is my wedding. I mean, not my wedding, but Tyler and Julia are getting married
Yes.
Saturday, and so I'll
I
be at that
know.
wedding.
We're
And
really bummed that we can't be there.
yeah,
Unfortunately, we bought all the tickets and stuff like way early and before they even got engaged. And so,
yeah,
Tyler and Julia, if you're listening to this, Jen and I love you, and we're so happy for you. And
that's right.
yeah, so yeah, look at the groom. Look at Tyler if you're at that wedding. And then the whole passage talks about ushering in a new kingdom with a new identity, a new self. And this is actually something that we're talking about youth on Wednesday about
Mm.
Ephesians 4:17 through 24.
Hmm.
Talk about the new self at the end. Why is that while there's a new kingdom, a new identity, new wineskins per se, why do we tend to return to the old?
I think because we're comfortable with the old, we
Mm-hmm.
can control the old. I use this illustration Sunday of how it's just a fact of how I operate, but I'm like have I'm super organized and I have everything in a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even I said, come to our home and you'll see our spice drawer. Everything is it's all alphabetized, from
Mm-hmm.
A to Z,
Right.
and my closet is all organized, from I put blue on one side and black on the other, so I don't get them confused. But it's just right. The whole color scale is
Mm-hmm.
my closet,
Right.
and so I like that control.
Mm-hmm.
My days are. I mean, as a pastor, you never really know what's going to happen, but for the most part, my mornings start off the same every day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's my box, right? So I'm comfortable with it, and so we are comfortable with the old way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And even for like in this passage, when he told the story right after these two other kind of parables he told about um, he used the one about the physician. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
is a physician. It's not the people um, that don't realize that they're sick, but the ones that are sick that need a
Yeah.
physician. And then he
Right.
tells the one about you don't need to fast because you have the bride, you have the groom with you, and
Mm-hmm.
so there'll be a time for fasting, but it's not now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then this one, it's all about uh, the old piece of cloth and the old wineskins. And I think, like from a bigger perspective, what he's talking about is the transition from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and
Mm-hmm.
how Jesus was doing away with at least the Old Testament sacrificial system,
Right.
and now there's a new way to live, and it's nothing that the religious leaders could handle because it didn't fit in their box. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think some of the things like this next week we'll be looking again at more miracles of Jesus. It's
Mm-hmm.
like none of those fit in our box either.
Right.
He's healing a dead girl, raises her to life, and
Mm-hmm.
blind people and a demon possessed mute person. It's
Yeah.
like this is all out of our box.
Right. Exactly. No, I agree. It's a lot of It's comfortable, like you said. I also think this. I heard this on a documentary. Like, why do you return back to sin? And the pastor, theologian, I don't remember who it was. He's like, because you love it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's probably. I was like, no, I don't. And then I thought about it more. It's like, yeah, you wouldn't do it if you didn't love it. To a certain extent. Obviously, you don't love it. Like we as
Right.
Christians, you do hate it, but there's a part of you still, um, that's like lingers, and
Yeah, there's a
wants.
verse I think in Hebrews it says there's pleasure in sin for a season. And
Yeah,
so we do love it, and then after we commit it, we feel such guilt and shame.
yeah,
And so it's this weird relationship, but we keep going back to some of those same
yeah.
things.
We were talking about it on Sunday. It was the Vietnamese because I preached that message
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
before. I obviously Wednesday with Student Point, but we were talking about it, and you imagine it like this: the new and the old is like a coat, and it tells you to put off the old self and put on the new, and it's like we always are like, all right, I'm not gonna put off the old self, but I'm just gonna take the new self and put that on instead.
Hmm.
um and like it'll be fine, it'll just cover the old, but then the old then muddies the new.
Right.
Basically, I always imagine it as like a kid playing in the yard, um with a muddy coat, and then his dad goes and gets the brand new one and just puts it on over the old one. It's like that would be stupid.
Yeah.
But
Plus, the new clothes a lot of times are uncomfortable, and we're comfortable with our old ratty shirt that's ripped
that's
in several
true.
places. And so I was thinking today, like, I was at the Gateway faculty meeting last week, and
Hmm.
so I got this shirt, this swag. I got some swag from
Yeah,
it,
there
right?
you go.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna wear that today. But then I hesitated for a moment. And I thought, yeah, I just really want to be comfortable. I always go walking with a guy at lunch, and I don't know if this is gonna be comfortable, but
Uh-huh.
so I put it on. It's like it's actually really comfortable,
Yeah,
so I didn't
right.
have to take it back off.
Uh-huh.
But that's that whole comfort thing and what we're used to, and sometimes we're afraid to venture out into something a little more,
Yeah. I guess I
different
just
for
need
us.
to think about my new and old life like I do clothes, because when I get something new, I'll wear it the next day.
Yeah,
So apparently I need to think about it like
yeah, there
that,
you go.
so but yeah, that's what we got today. We're right around 27 minutes right now, and I do have a movie recommendation. So the last couple weeks I've been watching every single, like rewatching all the old Scooby-Doo animated movies.
Yeah,
Don't know why. I just, with everything going on with like Jenna's family and whatnot, I haven't been able to like watch like new stuff because my brain's like, I cannot do this right
yeah,
now. And so I was like, I started watching Scooby Doo. So I recommend all of them, but go watch Scooby Doo in the Cyber Chase. That movie
hmm,
is the best. So, but yeah, that's all we got today. Um, all right. Yeah. We'll see
yeah,
you next time.
yep. Take care.
Alrighty. Oops.